Content marketing for small business can turn your small business into an authority online and differentiate you from your competition. Many creative business owners are turning to things like starting YouTube channels, starting a podcast, and even creating ebooks and downloadable text documents to get their knowledge out there and to gain more customers. Today, we'll go over 5 tips to help get your small business online and started with content marketing. So before we get right into the tips, we're going to talk about what is content marketing with what we're talking about today. So content marketing is any piece of content, whether that's video, whether it's audio, or whether it's a typewritten text document. That is what we're going to consider content for today. And content marketing is going to be how you get that content piece out and start gaining customers from it, putting it on social media, letting search engine optimization find it, or putting it on some of your website or other channels that you have online, so that when you do a call to action or ask for some business, it's not the first time they've ever heard from you or heard about you. Actually, you've been putting some content out there already, which gets them to understand who you are, what you do, and how you can help them, and it gets them to know you a little bit better. So tip number 1, what kind of solutions can you come up with for your content that can help people solve their problems? It doesn't matter what type of small business you are or entrepreneur. If you're in business and you have customers, you're solving some sort of problem. Doesn't matter if you're a roofer, carpet cleaner, if you're a mechanic, if you're a jewelry store, or maybe you're an entrepreneur who does coaching programs or online courses to help somebody figure out how to get their expertise online. Whatever the subject matter, you're solving a problem that somebody else has. So think about, what are the solutions that I can provide in my content marketing? So there's 3 different things that you're doing online. You're either educating, you're entertaining, or you're inspiring online. And they say that most things fall into those 3 categories, and the best channels do a combination of all 3. And the first step is finding those problems. Start creating a list of all the problems that your ideal customer has that you solve on a regular basis. It might be easiest if you start with the things that you already are doing the most. Whatever type of product or service that you have that the customers are buying the most of, what is that thing that you're doing? What is the problem that is solving? And how can you start creating some content around it? A little brainstorming on a whiteboard or some scratch pieces of paper. And once you do that, you'll start getting an understanding before you get into the other things to do of what kind of content you could come up with. Now, tip number 2, once you already have some potential solutions and some potential content that you could come up with, what types of content are you most geared to doing, or that you could enjoy doing once you get going and get some practice going? Most of the big influencers or coaches that I've been exposed to say just start doing content, whatever that is. But first, you actually have to pick what form of content. So if you're going to start a YouTube channel, you're going to have to start doing videos. I personally enjoy doing videos because that's also the place that I like learning from the most. I typically consume a lot of YouTube videos. So you can maybe start with what platform or form of content do you consume the most? Do you listen to podcasts all day? Do you read blogs and PDFs and books nonstop and you love doing that? You're reading a book a day. And you can start very simply. If you're going to do a YouTube channel, you can start with the cell phone. Cell phones are exceptionally good nowadays versus what a lot of these people started that are big influencers on years ago. Cell phones are very good. You can take an iPhone or these Samsung phones. They have excellent cameras, and with a little tweaking and a couple of pieces of very affordable equipment, you can start doing very professionally looking videos with good audio. And if you decide that you want to start by doing a podcast, so maybe you prefer to start with something as simple as getting on your cell phone and talking about some subjects. It's one of the easiest things to do. You have to start with a podcast host, and then you can get distributed and accepted on platforms like iTunes, Spotify within 48 hours of starting. There's great how-to tutorials all over YouTube, all over podcasting, all over blog posts as well, so that you can find out how to do it. And now let's say that you're somebody who likes reading a lot and you like writing. I don't personally like writing that much, but if you're somebody, and I know plenty of people who do love writing about a subject, you can do ebooks, you can do articles, you can do white papers. There's so many ways that you can get this information online. Then if you also get them published on a platform like Medium or any of these other blog and article sharing websites that are free, some of them are paid, you can get even more exposure through those networks. So tip number 3 is, now that you already know what kind of content you're going to be doing by problems and solutions, you know what kind of medium it's going to be. Number 3 is you got to start just recording or getting the content done and then distributing it out there. Now, a lot of people, they'll go through a lot of hassle of starting a video or getting a podcast episode done or publishing a blog post, and then they don't tell anybody about it. Now, that's not going to help you out in the long run. It might have worked in the old days when the internet was newer, but now there's a lot of people doing videos, there's a lot of people doing podcasts, there's a lot of people publishing articles. You have to take it a step further and start distributing this content out. You have to start manually getting it out there. Maybe it's to a customer list that you already have. Maybe you have an email list. If not, you need to start one as soon as possible. Maybe you have some social media networks that you haven't really been tapping into. Maybe you feel a little insecure by getting it out to friends and family and acquaintances and your circle. Whatever it is, you got to get over that, because this piece of content isn't going to market itself. You have to start distributing it out there and getting it onto other channels and platforms. So now that you have the pieces of content, you got to think, well, what kind of distribution do I need to be doing? Well, if you're a business to business, you definitely have to be on LinkedIn. Gary Vaynerchuk, one of my favorite coaches online and on YouTube, is always talking about find where organic growth is the easiest to get and has the lowest amount of effort to get that back. Places like Facebook and Instagram are great places, but they're a little mature and they want you to spend money in advertising. So their organic reach isn't that great right now. However, places like TikTok, LinkedIn are still thought of to have great organic reach. All you have to do is figure out, how does my piece of content get out there a little bit better on these platforms? And then work it. You're gonna have to become a marketer in your business. You can't expect other people to do it unless you're already to the level where you don't really have to worry about doing it yourself and you have a team, which is also great. But either way, you have to be invested in that process and understand what's the best forms of content and how they're getting out there so that you can measure ROI by the people doing it for you. Tip number 4. So now that you got an idea of the platforms, you're going to start publishing your content. You're going to start getting it out and marketing it to your email list, to your Facebook groups, to your different social media channels and business-to-business opportunities. You also got to think about, have you really stirred up that friends, family, acquaintances network, and have you added anything like other business owners into that mix so that you have a really solid foundation for that content that you're going to be marketing, so that that initial group can watch it before it gets out to the wider distribution area. So what do I mean by that? Like, let's say you start publishing a YouTube video and then you put it out on some Facebook posts or some Instagram posts. It gets a couple likes. No one really does anything about it. Start creating a network of your friends, acquaintances, other business owners, and interacting with them and letting them know you're starting content now so that you can start getting views and not feel weird or shy about publishing that on a Facebook page or to an email list. Let people know you got content coming out there. So next time you go and share something, you're not doing it passively. You're asking those friends and network, hey, go like my channel. Go subscribe to my YouTube. Go leave me a review on my podcast. Go share my blog post or reshare it on your social media from my website. There's a lot of really good techniques that you can use within that. Now, tip number 5, if you did number 4 well and you started reaching out to some business owners for fellow small business support, you can do this as well with content. Have other business owners on your channel. Maybe it's a complementary business relationship that you have where they give each other referrals. Interview them, have them on your video, have them on your podcast, do an article about them, share some business ideas with them, then publish it and make a big deal out of it. They're going to appreciate it and they're going to want to reciprocate by sharing your blog post or your article or video through their networks as well, because they're on it. So they can use that as a piece of material to market to their groups. If you get 5, 10, 15 other businesses on in the first part of your video series or your podcast or your article series and interview them, talk about their business, what made them start. It's a great way of building rapport with other business owners. And it's also a heck of a great piece of content, because what at the base and heart of what a lot of content marketing is letting customers know, like, and trust you. And if they can hear you interacting with other people, they get to know your personality. They might hear the stories that influenced you to start your business. They might get some little pieces of inspiration or education about what you do that they didn't know before. So instead of just having a website, or you're competing against them just by the name of the business with other competitors, they say, hey, I remember Bill, Todd, Marcia, or Janice, whatever your name is. I remember that interview that they did, and they really had a past that I really, I really jived with, and I want to use them instead next time for whatever that product or service is. So that's a great way to get started in content marketing. I hope those 5 tips gave you an understanding of how you can get started, and just figuring out these very simple steps can take away a lot of the scariness and a lot of the confusion that comes with thinking about how to do content marketing. It's just a way of getting information about your business out there in a way that can inform, then educate, or inspire somebody, and it helps them to know, like, and trust you. And you can get more relationships doing that way with other business owners and within your community. So I hope that helped you. Get started as soon as you can. Don't forget to like below if you like that, or leave me a comment about what you've started as far as a content channel yourself. I'm going to be coming up with some great content also about how to start some of these channels later. So take care, and hope this quick tips helped you out. We'll see you next time.